Introduction to Occupational Health and Safety Regulations and Codes. Let's ask ourselves a question: why is it important to understand the regulations for occupational health and safety? First, they are law, and we know there are always consequences if you break the law. Second, they do set minimum safety standards in the workplace. Obviously, some companies tend to exceed those minimum standards, but the minimum standards are set by occupational health and safety regulations. They assign responsibility in the workplace. What is the job of the managers? What is the job of employees regarding the safety? And the last one, but not the least, they allow for enforcement. They do set penalties for non-compliance. To understand Canadian legal systems, we have to understand the sources that make up the system. There are 4 different sources from which Canadian legal system is built. The first one is common law. It's a court or judge-made law. The second is Constitution. Some of the samples: British North America Act, Canadian Constitution 1982, Canadian Bill of Rights, and so on. Then we have statutes and regulations. Obviously, they could be federal, provincial, and territorial. And the last one is in Quebec, which is Quebec Civil Code, which is only applied in the province of Quebec. Common law or case law is really based on court or judge-based decisions. It's applied in every province of Canada except Quebec. Under this system, cases are decided on the applicable law and on the specific facts of the case. Let's talk a little bit about common law. The origin is in Great Britain. It's called Anglo-Saxon law. United States and Canada is using this base law for their law. It is originated from the time of Henry II of England. As I mentioned before, it's built from the common customs or precedents. And what they do, they keep judging records and they use them as precedents for future similar cases. Civil law. The origin is the civil law is used mostly in European countries. It is derived from Roman law, from the Roman Empire, and proceeding from board legal principles and interpretation of doctrinal writings are included in the civil law. As you guys see on this chart, North America, Australia, Great Britain, they all use common law. Europe and South America mostly using civil law, and then you have whole bunch of different laws applied throughout the world. There is like Muslim law, customary law, there are mixed systems, and so on. What are the 4 sources that make up the Canadian legal system? Employers are required by law to follow the minimum standards set out by occupational health and safety legislation. Well, all the legislation that we have in Canada follow a regulation hierarchy. What does it really mean is that you have on the top is legislation or statutory law, which is enacted by governing body. Then you have acts, which gives you overall objectives of legislation. Then you have regulations, which is implementation of specific objectives of the acts. Then legal codes, those are technical specification and implementation details. and standards, which are really industry or country technical specification and implementation details. There could be in Canada 3 different jurisdictions that will enact, these law. One is federal, apply to federal agencies, land, and interprovincial installation activities and international treaties. Then you have provincial. Each province has their own acts and regulation based on the federal regulations. And at the end, you have municipal, which are really called, bylaws.